Let's go, girls. Welcome to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle Taylor, founder of Women in Wealth. From breaking money myths to building wealth and achieving financial freedom, we're here to empower you to create your own path. Talk Wealthy. Now, join the conversation and let's change the way women think and feel about money. Okay, ready? Today's guest is a trailblazer in the beauty and wellness space and someone who's raising the standard for what nail care can be. Kasia Pukeca is Central Florida's first certified specialist in biosculpture gel and the founder of a salon experience that's redefining self-care. With a professional background in the dental field and extensive nail training, Kasia brings a unique perspective that blends science, hygiene, and beauty. Her approach is all about long-term health and client care, offering more than just a manicure, but true wellness for your hands and feet. She's built a brand that's equal parts innovative and intentional, and I cannot wait for you to hear her story. Please welcome Kasia to Talk Wealthy to Me. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle, and I am so excited. Mainly because I feel this episode is going to be jam-packed with so many great stories. So I have Kasia with me today.
Hello.
So nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It's my first podcast.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, you're going to have so much fun. So you guys, there were so many things in the beginning of us meeting a little while ago that we were talking through that I think are going to be jam-packed, full of relatable stories and tangible, tactical takeaways. You are in for a treat. So to get us started, tell us about you and what you do.
So currently I own Gloss Nail Company, it's a very high-end, non-toxic, fume-free nail salon that focuses mainly on the health of people's nails. We do a lot of rehab. We have a lot of clients coming in with very damaged nails from the acrylics, the dips, things like that. So we focus we more put a care plan together for those clients. And we're like, this is how we're going to start. This is how long it's going to take for you to see results. This is how many times we need to see you to get kind of your goal nail. And, everybody's usually coming in, they're like, I want pretty natural nails. And they think they don't have them because they've been damaged for so long, but everybody actually truly has great nails. You just have to take care of them instead of shaving them down like they do at the conventional salon. So that's a big thing that we really specialize in and focus on, is kind of helping those clients that just don't think they have good nails without acrylics. And there's also the clients that don't go to the conventional salons and have always been afraid to go because they don't want that type of experience. And then they find us and they're like, oh, I'm actually not afraid to get my nails done here. And they come in, they're happy, they get their nails done. If they want a break, we take them off professionally. Their nails still look great. They still feel confident and they trust us. So it's, we love those clients too, because it's like for so long they haven't got their nails done or they did them at home by themselves because they were afraid. And now we have something for them that's much different. So it's, just a different type of nail salon.
Oh, I
and
love
it.
that. Yeah. Well, because number one, I feel like so many people are focused right now on health and wellness from top to bottom, from, financial to gut health to nails, all of it. And I think it's really, really important that now that we're learning to do better, that we actually are doing better. So that is amazing. And I do feel like there's such an emphasis for us ladies. We've always considered getting your nails done and a pedicure such a necessity and such a luxury, a little bit of me time. So I do think it's found a way into being a must-do for all women, especially I know even speaking for me when I'm talking to clients and I'm pointing at things, I always think about my nails. So that's really exciting. You get to make people feel more confident and beautiful when they leave your space. That's awesome. And so I already know, but how did you find yourself in this space? Did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Did you always want to go into the beauty industry? Tell us about that journey.
I wouldn't say from being young that I wanted to specifically be an entrepreneur, but I was always very creative, and just doing really anything creative is what brought me joy and brought me happiness. Yep. And it was kind of like my time to like be me.
Be me.
Yeah. So, I would tell my mom here and there, maybe I want to go into like cosmetology. I wanted to take a cosmetology class in high school because they offered those in my high school. And my parents being, Eastern European and very, very traditional, they were like, no, that is not what we want for you. That's not going to be enough money for you to sustain your life. We moved here because we wanted you to be a doctor or a lawyer or go into the some sort of medical field. And that's why we're here. You can't kind of go backwards.
Isn't that crazy when you think about all of us? But I think especially for so many people that come from other places to the US, it's like that American dream that they're so driven by. But oftentimes that American dream in the past has meant a doctor, a lawyer, school.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, I think there's been such a shift into being a business owner. You want to be in a trade, but own the business. And it's shifted, which is great because it opens up more options.
And again, going back into the 90s, I will never blame my parents for guiding me the way they did. They guided me the best of their ability at that time and what they knew was best. And they were looking out for me. They weren't trying to crush my dreams. My mom loved seeing the things I would draw and paint. She loved that. It made her happy, but she didn't think that would sustain my life, going forward. So,
and they sacrificed a ton.
Yes, they 100%. So again, my parents taught me a lot in a different way. I just kind of spun it on a different way eventually. So, that was kind of crushed. The whole cosmetology thing never happened. College time came around and my mom's like, medical, lawyer, accountant, something like that. Yeah. So I literally sat there flipping through the college book and looking at programs, and it would say right there what the median hourly salary was for that job. And I remember being like, oh, dental hygiene seems pretty good. That seems like a pretty good hourly rate. I think I could, live off of that. So I'm like, Mom, can I do this? And she's like, yeah. She's like, that seems pretty good. Do that. And then maybe you can be a dentist after. I was like, cool, sign up.
Yeah.
Literally, like, that was it. That's how I decided my future, was from this little book and an hourly rate. So I signed up. I got in to the program, worked hard, did really well. I got a job while I was still in school for a great orthodontist. I ended up really liking working for her. So I ended up specializing in orthodontics in Canada. And again, went right from school into this really high paying, great job. Nothing wrong with it. Absolutely no complaints.
Yeah.
But I was working, doing the thing that I was supposed to be doing, and I would still be not miserable on Sundays, but
you said have the
it
Sundays.
Would be that the Sunday scaries. I'd have the dread, like, ugh, it's Monday again. I have to go to work. Are my scrubs clean? Like, it was still that, even though there was nothing wrong with my job. So, I'm still doing it. That's what you have to do. I ended up getting married a few years after I started that job. My husband mainly worked in the United States. So from Toronto, right after marriage, we actually moved to Orlando. He continued his job. I found a dental job. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, just 40 hours in dental. And actually, the way I kind of came across this is kind of funny because my nails were actually still done. My wedding nails were still done when I moved to Orlando. This is how quickly we moved after our wedding.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow, like, I need to get these nails done. These are getting crazy. So I start calling around, and my husband at the time traveled. So we actually lived right here at 55 West.
Okay.
So I was alone Monday to Thursday. And I was like, oh, I got to find a nail salon. And so I just popped into the first one. I was like, ugh, this doesn't seem right. Popped into another one, asked them, do you have this product? And, oh, yeah, we do that. And then I would sit down and I was like, no, that's not it. That's not what I'm looking for. So fast forward, I called my husband one day and I was like, are we in a bad area? Are we just not, is this just not it am
I missing something?
Do I have to go somewhere else? And he's like, I don't know, try Dr. Phillips or Windermere. I was like, okay. So I drive there one day and I see this nice nail salon. It looks pretty. And so I walk in and I'm like, it's the same thing. It's literally
more of the
same exact thing. And it's just so I think I ended up letting somebody just do my nails. And of course, they destroyed them, and it was back to the throbbing and the pain and the smell. And I just felt icky when I left. So I was like, I'm just going to call, it's biosculpture gel. I'm just going to call the brand and say, hey, do you have somebody that does nails here in Orlando? So I actually ended up on the phone with somebody, like a customer service representative from there for about an hour talking about their brand. I was like, why do you not have it here?
Where are you?
Yeah. Why can't I can I buy the brand? Can I buy it and bring it to the salon? They're like, no, that's not how it works. We're very different. And of course, I already knew they were different because I was getting my nails done that way in Toronto.
Okay.
So then I got off the phone with them, and I'm just a very curious person. I was like, why? How come? Why do you think nobody's here? And then my husband ended up, I think, coming home that Thursday from his work trip. And I was like, I think I'm going to open a nail salon.
I love that.
And he's like, what? Like, what do you mean you're going to open a nail salon? And again, my husband's an entrepreneur. So he was very open-minded to listening to, what I was saying. He's like, so
Tell me more.
So what about like all the college and all the money your parents spent? And I was like, no, I'm not saying anything was bad with that, but I have this vision.
Well, and you looked, and as is the case for so many entrepreneurs, you immediately saw a need that something you could do to fill the void would help. And that is amazing. I mean, that is the blueprint for success, bringing something that people need to an area where it isn't.
Yes. I was like, I don't see it here. I looked it up. I'm like, it's not here. I'm telling you, it's not. So let me try. Like, I'll start small. And he's like, I told him, like, I'm going to go back to nail school. I'm going to do all of the things. And he's like, okay. He's like, sure. If that's what you think you want to do, go ahead. And again, he's very supportive that way. And has that mind where he it's not like I was like, oh, I want to open, X, Y, Z. That didn't make sense. So
he got it.
It made sense to him. So completely supported it. I fast forward a few years, I did end up having like babies in between. And then when I was like, I knew I was done having babies and I was ready to go back to work because I always wanted to work no matter what. And I signed up for nail school. And I literally would drop my kids off at preschool and drive straight to nail school and put in as many hours as I could before I had to pick them up again. And just try to get my license as fast as possible. There was probably about, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks where I didn't even tell my mom I was in nail school while I was there. She would call me, be like, what'd you do today? I'd be like, I don't know, just hung out, just nothing really. Because I was even scared to tell her that that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, at this point, you had the salon?
No,
not yet.
No, I didn't even have my nail license. I was just like finished.
You dove in the deep end.
Yes.
So you got your licenses.
Got my license. Finally called Biogel. I'm like, I have my license. Can I buy the stuff now? Because they're the type of brand they are. They will not let you purchase.
Which is good.
Which is a whole other story of why I love the brand.
Yeah.
Super professional, quality control. The list goes on and on why I just love the brand. And that was, a huge kind of pinnacle of what made me even go into this. So got my license and I was like, well, yeah, so now I'm a nail tech and I have all this stuff, and of all the good stuff, I got to start, practicing, like actually doing the nails. Because in nail school, you don't learn any of this. You truly don't learn.
You just learn how to do it. They don't teach you how to own a business.
And it's more, and they don't even really teach you, I guess, the proper way of doing nails. It's more like acrylic based, like the more charms you put on, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what they teach you there.
Okay.
Go for those $300 Cardi B nails. That's what's going to make you the money.
But I love this so much because I cannot tell you how many times women will come to me and say, I have this great idea and don't know where to start. And I think that there is a right order of operations, but just start. And I love that you jumped in. You knew what you wanted to do. It's like that Elsa or Anna song in Frozen, like the next best decision or whatever. And that's this. You knew that you wanted to do this. You knew that the quickest, easiest route to getting there was getting your license and securing the relationship. And that's what you did.
Yep. That's what I did. And I don't know what pushed me to do it, because obviously there was those comments from people that know me like,
What are you thinking?
Why you're going to nail school? Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? And I got a lot of like backhanded criticism, comments from friends. I had a friend be like, "Oh, so you're going to like do nails now?" Like,
isn't it?
And it was just, honestly, I don't know what pushed me through not caring what people said to me, but it was, I got some comments that probably would deter a lot of people, but I just kept going.
And that's what I hope this podcast does for people and women in wealth and that community, because that happens all the time. And I do feel like we're getting better. I feel like there's less competition amongst women. There's all the things on social about straightening each other's crowns. And that is important. Mm-hmm. But even when I was leaving, I worked in the fashion industry, was going into this financial world. I was getting the same comments from my mom, from family members, from friends that would say, wait a minute, like 4 years ago, you were in terrible debt from shopping. And this is nothing what you were doing before. Are you crazy? Mm-hmm. So it's funny how many of us have that same story of all of the doubt when we all have our own doubt to begin with.
Of course, 1,000,000%.
But I just hope that it's a reminder to all of us to be encouraging. Mm-hmm. Don't be blind to the risks that come if a friend is doing something, but women supporting women and just feeling, even from the guys, is so important. Mm-hmm. So you overcame a lot of the naysayers.
Yep. And for a while I was in my home having clients, but these were clients that I would organically be in my home anyway. So I didn't feel too weird about it, but I would have clients come into my home. I set up a whole little mini nail salon in my home. Again, stuff was non-toxic, non-fume. So it's not like it was nail smell was invading my house. So I was comfortable with it. But again, it was just kind of tucked away in a corner. And I would have girls come in and I wanted to see feedback. I wanted to see how I was doing. One of the things biosculpture gel told me that they don't like doing it in Florida because of the humidity. So the retention's not the same. So I had all of these questions in my head. I wasn't going to get my license, buy the stuff, and bam, open a salon. That's not.
So you did a lot of trial and error.
Did for a long time. I was in my house doing it, getting feedback. Then what started happening was people were like, oh, well, my cousin saw, she wants to come. Yeah. My friend saw, my friends love my nails. I love my nails. I'm posting them on Instagram and everybody's like, where? And I'm still saying, I can't say, so, and then when I started seeing that like positivity, it really started like, I was like, okay, all right, this is working. What do I do now? Because now I'm having, people that wouldn't organically be in my home want to come. So I was like, okay, now I need to move to the next step. And still, I wasn't ready to make that 10-year lease.
Yeah. Big decision, commitment.
$7,000 a month. I wasn't ready for that. And again, it was just me still. And again, it's not like I can hire because nobody here is doing that technique. Nobody's using the product. So it's not like I could just put an ad and say, I need 8 nail techs to come on over and work in my salon. So that wasn't even an option. So what I did is I ended up renting a salon suite, like the size of this room.
And now how long did you have, what's the timeline for anybody listening that's thinking, I'm in this, I'm trying to grow and scale something. How long was it from the time you were doing nails as almost like the trial and error space in your home?
COVID, right in the middle of COVID.
So you were doing that in COVID?
Yes.
And then how long was that before you rented the suite?
I would say 6 months.
And then how long did you rent the suite before you went out on your own and opened your own shop?
Almost 3 years.
Wow.
In the suite. I went from the suite to right when I signed, because again, another lease, but the lease was not as scary. In my head, I'm calculating, do I have enough clients that it's going to cover this lease and it's going to cover my expenses? And I was like, okay, I have the bare minimum right now where I'm not going to lose money because the amount of clients I have are going to cover this cost.
Yep.
So I felt comfortable going into that. And then I was like, okay, now that I have a public space, I can start advertising. Mm-hmm. I could do the Instagram thing. And it was like me jumping into Instagram at that time was just like jumping into a black hole because I was not an Instagrammer. I was like, I have to do it. I have to get on the social media thing because that's what's working for people. Started posting on social, literally for the longest time, 2 likes, 3 likes, nothing, no followers. But then
it's an art, and
slowly,
it is a part-time job.
Oh gosh, it's like a full-time job. I feel like.
And we're the same age where we grew up in that, like, you know, we grew up with analog, but then like we're teenagers with America Online and all of those things. So social media, I think for us is a little bit more of a challenge than people.
And it was just like, I was like, I'm scared to post. This is right. You know, and I went through all that doubt of now being an Instagrammer. But I was like, I have to do this. This is really what's going to get my stuff out there. So, but slowly and surely, word of mouth, Instagram started trickling. And I think within 6 months in my salon suite, I was at a point where I could no longer take clients because I was just slammed.
And how many people now work with you? How many nail techs do you have in your space?
Now I have 6,
wow.
Training my 7th and trying to hire an 8th.
And are you still actively just for fun or because you want to still seeing clients?
Yes.
Or are you only running the business?
I'm seeing clients. I've been cutting back. Now I'm only Wednesdays and I only see my regulars because I love my regulars. They got me to where I am.
Always
honestly,
love them.
they have. And I love doing it. I absolutely love doing the nails.
The art, the creative side.
I always say Wednesdays is my day off because I'm like, Zen, nobody's going to, I don't have to worry about my phone, my emails. I'm doing nails. Don't bother me.
So I love this so much. Okay. So in this journey, now you have a husband
yes,
who's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So were there outside relationships that were helping you make some of these big decisions? Were you leaning on your husband? Because I think a lot of times that is what is prohibitive for women to jump into starting a business.
Mm-hmm.
Is just not knowing where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that saying, you know, entrepreneurship is very lonely, but with women, it's truly like you're on an island. And it's so true. So I want to give you the space to say, number one, it's okay if it is our husbands can be the boys. We just need to get comfortable asking for the help. That's the hardest hurdle, I think, for so many women. So who helped you navigate, like, you know, TI dollars and a lease, or what would look right when you're trying to source a place, or how are you offering things to your employees? All of these things, who kind of guided you or helped you through that?
Definitely my husband, number one. Again, he's a business owner. He has employees. He looks at things from a very black and white standpoint, like financially, does this make sense? So he helped me a lot with that. The creative side, not at all.
Yeah.
He's like, don't ask me those questions. But a lot of the financial part, like how I should navigate, how I should start scaling, how fast. He definitely helped me with that, and he was just supportive. So there was never a time where he was like embarrassed that I was doing nails or embarrassed that I was in my house doing nails. Like,
you were an entrepreneur.
He never made me feel that way, which was, I think a lot, because if he did, maybe I wouldn't have gone forward. I also had maybe a few friends, not a lot of my friends, but they know who they are.
Bounce ideas off of.
A specific, I'd say maybe 2 of them that kept pushing me and kept saying, don't worry about people say, who cares, do this. This is great. They would come to me, get their nails done. So yeah, about 2 friends out of my very large group of friends that I would say were extremely supportive. But still, it was still a lonely journey.
Lonely road. And it always is. And it's just about finding your village, right? We say find the village it takes a village to raise kids, but it takes a village to support a friend or family's marriage. It takes a village to start a business. It all takes a village. I have to know, how does your mom view all of this now? I'm sure she is so proud of you.
Now, yes. Now she gets it. I just don't think, again, not blaming her. She wasn't looking at it the way I was looking at it. She's like, so you're going to go work at one of these salons and make less money? And what?
And we moved here.
What?
But
now that she sees the bigger picture, I'm like, no, Mom, it's not that I just want to go work in a strip mall somewhere at Walmart doing nails. I have I want this. I'm going to grow this. This is something that I feel is missing in the market. So like I am looking at this from a much bigger picture. And then finally, when she started, I think it wasn't until I actually got my salon, like my big salon, that she's like, okay, I get it. All right.
Well, it's the vision. It's the vision. And same with, like, for anybody, I think no matter what that vision is, you just have to trust people and support them, because you can't possibly understand what they're working towards. So now, as you're a mom, you have 3 kiddos, right?
Yes.
So what do you, like, how will you broach these conversations with them when they're talking about what they want to do when they grow up?
Oh, this is definitely constantly in progress of how I teach my kids to have the want and desire to find something that fulfills them and makes them happy, while still kind of giving them everything that I wanted but didn't have when I was growing up, and didn't have because my parents didn't want to. Just my parents, again, immigrated and were working very hard, and my parents always gave me everything I needed. I was never without, but I couldn't always have what I want.
Which creates a good amount of healthy work ethic, I think, to say, and like going back to the job side of things, when I think about the conversations that I've had with my nieces who I'm really close to, or other young women, I think we've done a disservice. And I talked about this a long time ago in the podcast, but I think we need to encourage young people. It's not about chasing a career or a salary, but truly thinking through, I just want you to create the life that you envision.
Yes.
So if you want to go to school to be, I don't know, to be in middle management and have the consistency of a 9 to 5, go for it, but understand in that you will have less flexibility to take your kids to school in the morning. And I just think that so many of us put the emphasis on the career instead of what does the life look like and what career is going to help you get there.
I agree with that 100%. Even my mindset towards money and towards finances has also changed. I used to, when I was younger, I would be like, I want the most expensive bag. Like, I want that. It was Burberry back then. I was like, I want the bucket Burberry. Like, that's what everybody has. And I want that because that's going to make me feel good. And, I did eventually get it. I couldn't afford it, but I had it. And did it make me feel better? Probably not really. I mean, not overall as a person. It made me feel good when I was out carrying it. But I feel like I wasn't fulfilled. And now that don't have the Sunday scaries, I love my job. I'm excited about what the next step is, the next growth, the next time I grow, the next time I, expand. That makes me so happy that now I don't really care about that bag.
The things.
I always say buildings over Birkins. Like, I want to expand. I want to grow. I don't care about like that $30,000 bag that everybody's trying to get.
That
so
quick little dopamine hit of something.
So I feel like that was a huge place where I evolved money-wise. Like, you need the money, but you need to be happy. You need to like be fulfilled with what you're doing. So I feel like the little, expensive bag void got filled with just being satisfied with what I'm doing, going to bed knowing I'm doing something good for others. I mean, yes, I know it's not nails. I don't think I'm a brain surgeon. Don't get me wrong.
No, but that's okay.
But I love that I'm offering something to people that they're happy. It's making them happy. Now they're feeling good about themselves.
And they want it.
Yes. And they want it. And yes, my prices are higher than the strip mall, like conventional salons, but they're understanding the value and they don't feel like I'm ripping them off, and they don't feel like they're overpaying because they see the value they're getting in the service.
One of the things that you just said that I think I want to go back to for a second, filling a void. And I know we talked before we started recording. I also had a pretty significant shopping addiction and problem. And it always comes back to filling a void. And that doesn't mean that you can't shop and have fun. And I love that still to this day.
Yeah.
But I think it's so interesting when you're trying to figure out your money story and how you approach building wealth to look at where you're spending money maybe in excess, and are you inadvertently trying to fill a void by doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people have that story. I just want to buy this one thing because it's going to make me happy. But the reality is figuring out why the void is there and how to
Mm-hmm.
fill it not only will impact you as a person on the day-to-day and feel happy, but also may autocorrect some of the other areas in your life where, like, if you're in an unhealthy relationship and the reason why is because it's filling something out, figuring out how to fill the void
Mm-hmm.
will fix so many things.
Yes.
Okay. So what would you tell the version of yourself 5 years ago? Like, what do you think was the best thing you ever did when you were understanding this growth of building a successful business and or just pivoting? And then what do you think is the worst mistake or money decision you ever made
in
your life?
Okay.
That may help somebody else.
I'll start
listening.
there. The biggest mistake I ever made in my life was when I started college. So now I was 18 and, welcome week. There's all these little tables set up of banks and credit cards and come get a credit card. And I was like,
I did it.
I was like, I could get a credit card
and get a free t-shirt at the same time.
I was like, this is great. I'm going to apply. I applied. What was it? Like $2,500 limit. I was like, what? I could just go spend $2,500 right now?
It's free money.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I went to the mall, just probably racked up half of it within one day. And I had no idea the implication
Why
this was causing.
Why are they allowed to do that?
I don't know. It's criminal.
Anybody that's in college or has a college-aged person in their life, warn them
Yes.
about these booths for a free t-shirt or a free 4 tickets to the movie theaters. I started my college journey up in Gainesville, Florida, and anytime there was a football game, I'll tell you what, on any of the campuses, whether it was a community college or the university or down in South Florida where I finished up school, they're all there.
Oh, yeah.
So predatory.
They know.
Well, and especially because no one's teaching it,
Yeah.
right? And starting a business, credit is so important.
Yes. By the time I finally, was of the age to get now, when I, did all my LLC things and got my business established and applied for my business credit, I actually did get a very nice loan very easily because of the credit that I accumulated. But this was after my husband had taught me, this is how you build. You need to use money to make more money. He kind of instilled that while we were married. So again, when I got that credit card for my business, or the small business loan, when I started, mindset completely different.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, ching, ching, ching. I was like, what do I need? What do I need? What am I making? It was just a completely different.
A shift in mindset.
A huge shift, yes.
Well, and you think about it, debt, we're all taught as a country is so bad.
Yes, especially European parents.
Oh my gosh.
Cash is king.
Oh yeah.
Don't buy a house unless it's cash.
It's wild.
Yes.
But the reality is leveraging debt is like the secret code, you guys, to building wealth. But you have to do it in such a way that is very responsible and know your shortcomings, know where to put the bumpers up so that you don't damage your credit, because it is the secret code. But at the same time, for my money mistakes that I made as a young person in college, I mean, I paid for those, literally paid for those mistakes for a decade.
Yep.
And I didn't do anything crazy. It was just like, oh, so what? A late payment or, I'm using all of my available credit. No one is teaching that stuff. So that's where I think for us, it's so important. Have those conversations. Help the people that are watching. Girl, boy, young, old, because it can change the trajectory of your life. If you had bad credit, you could never have opened your own space.
No.
Okay, so what was the best, or what would you tell yourself 5 years ago? Like the biggest, learning that you went through this that was like, this is good. This is a good choice. This is important.
truly, it's not a financial thing, but not worrying about what other people are saying about you
Oh, I love
or
that.
thinking. Because there was a lot of that, probably that was negative stuff I probably didn't hear, even.
And you can't worry about it.
That I think is what kept me going. Because just think about it. Like, really, like on paper, like my life is good. I'm living a good life. I'm happy. I have kids.
And then you took a
I
big
have
risk.
a huge supportive husband, who supports financially if I need. But now I'm going to nail school. And people are like, I even had somebody be like, are you having
a midlife
like,
crisis?
no, are you having like marital problems?
My gosh.
I was like, what?
You guys, we have to do better.
Am I having marital problems? Like, I would just stay in dental hygiene if I needed to. Like, what are you talking about? I'm going.
People,
So it was like, I literally had people like concerned that there was something wrong with me because
you were leaving a comfortable career.
To them, I was taking all these steps back.
And look at you now.
And it was just like, I'm not going to lie and say that, things didn't affect me. And I still remember vividly a few things. And I was in my living room one day with our friends who, the wife at that certain female doesn't feel the need, to work or want to work. And she's just like, so what? What do you just have your little nail business? Like, what are you going to do that for?
And I was
sure. I was like, wow, is that what people think?
No.
I'm just like having this little nail business. Like it was very humbling, but again, something in my mind just was like, keep going. Who cares? Who cares what they say? I've never really been somebody that cared that much what people think, but there was times where it was just like shots fired.
You have to have a thick skin.
Oh yeah.
And it is truly amazing to hear still the work that we all need to do with each other and how to approach these kind of big. It's like when you tell somebody what you're naming your baby and they go, oh, it's like, who would ever really say that? But people do.
Yes, they do.
They don't know better.
No.
So you brought up a few times now that your husband is super supportive, entrepreneur. How do you all manage the financial decisions in your home? And there is no right or wrong way to do anything. But I tell people all the time, if you're not the one driving the boat and your partner is, that's okay. But you just have to be in the canoe. So as you guys have navigated now, you're an entrepreneur. You understand the ebbs and flows of what revenue can look like. How do you guys manage the financial conversations? Have you learned from him and you contribute, or is there a comfort in just knowing that he takes care of everything?
No. So fortunately, we're completely together on making decisions for everything. There are certain times where I choose to excuse myself, like stocks. I don't know what you're doing and I don't care. Don't talk to me about it. Purchasing a home completely together. My business finances at this point, I'm pretty 95% doing all of that on my own.
And you understand that. And that's the important thing.
Yes. So he definitely keeps an eye, and I love the fact that he kind of is overseeing what's happening, but he's not telling me what to buy, telling me how to run my inventory, telling me when to give raises, hire. He has pretty much no input in that at this point. But again, I've learned a lot. It's been a while. So different sections of our marriage, I guess, are different. Super like investing, things like that. He has a degree in that. He knows that, and I trust him, and
that's okay.
And I'm okay being like, you know what, if you think this investment is good, go ahead. But personal things like,
big decisions.
He has no idea what's going on with groceries, my kids, medical bills, no idea really what's going on with their clothes, like things like that, I take on.
Yep. But the important thing is, as a family, even though he handles a lot of the small minutia in the plan, you understand where you all are headed as a family.
Yes.
And I think that that's the important thing is, although you learned so much with building a business with his help and support, you have taken ownership on the places that you need to and the places that don't bring you joy, like picking a individual stock position. that's fine. But I think that so many women out there I've seen go through a big life change where somebody, goes through a divorce or someone passes away or whatever it is. And they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do now.
Mhm.
So I think the important thing is just to understand where you're headed as a family and then know the pieces that you want to get into the weeds with and the pieces that you don't.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
what is next for you and your salon?
Next, I am currently in process of finding another salon, another real estate plot to expand. Yep.
Oh,
and
that's so
I can
exciting.
share I'm looking at Winter Park and Lake Nona. It's going to be one of those that most likely get secured within the next few months, definitely this year. I'm going to start that process. So location 2, super excited. We have the reason it's between Lake Nona and Winter Park is because I have so many clients driving from both of those locations currently to get their nails done.
There's a
So
need.
that's showing me, like, if you're coming to me and you're sitting through traffic and the I-4 and all of that just to get your nails done, you're not getting that over there. So that's what I have my eye on. Is those two will both be locations. I just don't know which one's first, but they will both definitely
and
happen.
For anybody that is listening that is not familiar with Orlando, the I-4 reference, I-4 is literally the worst
Yes.
road in the country.
Yes.
So if somebody's driving on I-4
Right.
to come see you, that's important. Well, I love what you are building. I would say as we wrap things up, what if there is a woman that is listening and she has a dream or a vision of wanting to do something and is in the same position where you are, where maybe it's her own self-doubt conversations of, am I crazy to do this? What would you say to her to encourage her to pursue what is going to bring her joy, even if it means leaving something comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
I would say first, I wouldn't just say jump in blind. I didn't really do that. At first, I thought my idea was crazy, but I truly did. Before I approached, my husband about what I wanted to do, I sat for a while, and I thought about it. I always say I had a whole PowerPoint presentation before I told him about it. It wasn't really a PowerPoint presentation, but I had my facts.
Yeah.
I had numbers, I had ideas, I had my why I think it's going to be successful. I had I'm going to start small and see before I take a giant leap. I didn't sit down and say, hey, can you co-sign for a 10-year, $7,000 a month lease today?
He's like, wait, what?
It didn't go like that.
Yeah.
I definitely took the baby steps. And I feel like would I have felt better for my ego going on social media and being like, hi guys, I'm doing nails now. This is my beautiful salon I opened. That would have been easier for me to do. It would have been easier for me to go from nothing to this beautiful space. But I didn't want to, to me, that was too risky. I knew I had a dream and I was confident it was going to work, but I did it, I feel, in slower steps that gave me more confidence to move next. Like I said, going from my home, going to a salon suite.
Yeah.
Going to a salon. Now thinking about location number 2.
You always were making forward progress,
Yes.
but you were doing it at a pace where it was almost more secure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for so many people, when they're thinking about starting a business, there's a lot of fighting for it, talking to people. Everybody's favorite thing is to first say, to come up with all the obstacles that you'll have to overcome. And the way that you did it, I think, was so thoughtful and intentional because you were already working out the narrative in your own head of how to overcome those obstacles. And it probably subconsciously was making you more confident.
Yes, 100%.
In the decision to do it, because the first person that would have said, well, what do you mean? Where are you going to start? And you hadn't thought through it, you may have never done it. So I think the big thing here, ladies, is start.
Jeez,
But you want to do it in a way that feels good. You don't have to go 100 miles an hour, especially when you're talking about, in your case, changing industries or going from being part of a 9 to 5 to totally shifting, especially doing it as a mom, like all of the things. So I think that the big takeaway here for me is, yes, start, but build the plan out in your head. Have the first, second, 15th step in place first to give yourself the confidence in the path forward. And once people see the diligence that has been done, it, I think, will be easier for them to support and get behind you.
And yeah, and just don't worry about it. Don't worry that you're starting in a little space. Don't feel like you're less than because you don't have this like massive space already. You know, if it just don't feel.
Put your head down.
There's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like things like Instagram and all of the social media right now, just like you go from zero to multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, and that's really the only way. And that's not the way.
And it's oftentimes not reality either.
It's
nobody starts a business. And I have had to have this, conversation with myself. I've started 3 different businesses, and every time I've had really good support systems around me, encouraging me. But at the same time, I almost needed a dose of reality to say, you're not going to launch selections, something I did, 15 years ago. And I had friends telling me, well, you're going to be the next Sarah Blakely. And it's like, well, you're skipping over years 1 through 7. And am I really going to get there? And then when it didn't happen right away, it was discouraging.
Yes.
So I think
that's huge is telling, telling that woman right now that it does in reality, nothing that's of substance and is like real and true and is going to last into the future happens overnight. I mean, unless you win the lottery, but that's not what we're talking about.
And then even then, how many people spend that money and it's gone?
So it's just like having the confidence, not worrying that you're starting small.
Having the grit. To keep going, which I know we've talked a lot about those stories.
Yes.
The grit to keep going. Don't listen to the negative.
No. I mean, listen to it, but take it with a grain of salt and just keep going. If you have a passion and like I knew that this was going to make a difference. I knew this was going to work out. But again, I knew I had to kind of learn. And I learned so much going from like super small to now like bigger. I've, every single challenge kind of gave me more confidence to keep going. I remember the first time I had to fire somebody, it was just like devastating for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I lost this employee. She was making me money. And I thought it was just like the worst thing ever. And like now going to like the last person I had to, unfortunately, let go of my business, I let them go and I was like, wonderful, let's keep moving. Yep. Like you have to learn. You have to learn organically and,
I was going to say there's so much learning in the doing.
Yes.
And that's where nowadays there's such a shift in, you can go to business school, but the reality is you're going to learn so much in the doing. Well, this was so much fun. It is so refreshing to hear from women who have walked the walk, built something, acknowledged the hiccups and the roadblocks, and are then open to sharing the story with so many other people and hopefully changing someone's life. If people want to follow along and see where your next location is and where you're headed, where can they find you?
We mainly are on Instagram. That's definitely our main platform. So it's Gloss Nail Co. You'll find us very easily. And that's pretty much it. I pretty much advertise there, and that's how I've grown. Thank you, Instagram.
Yeah, right. It's changed so much. Well, thank you so much. I know that I will definitely be following along. And ladies, I think that there were so many things here, little golden nuggets to put into your pocket and pull out when needed. I hope that you feel the same way. Share, like, subscribe, all of the usual asks, and let's keep changing the way women think and feel about money together.